What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review stream as Spurs have lost their first game of the season, a 4-1 defeat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadiums at the hands of Chelsea, in a game where, if I could have said to you a few things that was to go wrong, like literally anything and everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong yesterday, and it feels as though pretty much our whole team has been decimated in the space of a few hours last night. And it's I got the sense of pride at the end of that game with the way that Spurs fought throughout the game, and the way that we kept trying to play our football and kept trying to create chances even with 9 men. But you can't help but feel like, where do we go from here?
It's definitely a disastrous day. Whatever happened in terms of, I mean, first of all, I would have told you before the game we're going to lose 4-1 and be down to 9 men and we're going to get clapped off the pitch. You'd be like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Especially at home to Chelsea. But that is exactly what happened yesterday. And I agree. I think we can definitely take pride and take something away from the game, considering how we stuck to our principles. And look, on another day, if Bentancur scores that chance, if Son scores his chance, we maybe end up talking about an amazing point that we're taking away from this game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We end up losing the game 4-1. But I definitely think the ramifications of this game is more about I wouldn't say off the pitch things, because they did happen on the pitch, but it's more about what happened to the squad, what happened to some of our better, most important players, and that is the most worrying thing going into the rest of the season. And you just get the feeling that this game, this 24-hour period, could have massive ramifications for what happens to Spurs this season. Now,
absolutely spot on. But if we look at the game's in terms of the starting lineup, I thought Ange got it absolutely spot on with the players that he did pick, with Brennan Johnson out on the left. Started the game really strongly, didn't he? Was giving them proper problems, and he was being so direct and dangerous, and we looked good in those opening 15 minutes. We really did. It looks as though Spurs meant business. Chelsea couldn't really handle us. We got that early goal with Decky, with the deflection finding its way in the back of the net, and at that point you're thinking, wow, we're on fire at the moment.
Yeah, we had our tails up for the first 15 minutes, and we obviously had that amazing team goal, which was ruled out for a fraction of offside from Heung-min Son as well. So 2 moments early in the game where we really had Chelsea on the ropes a bit. They were they were really struggling, I thought, in those opening exchanges. The Kulusevski goal, as much as we got a bit of luck with the deflection, I thought, again, it was a really good team move. Brilliant play from Maddison to Sarr, who played a quick ball out wide to Kulusevski, who did really well to force Levi Colwill back and get him backpedaling, which he was, and obviously he got a bit luck with the goal. And it looked like, and then every time it seemed that we get it to Brennan Johnson, he was causing them trouble. We had another one where he flashed across the face of goal, which no one was able to tap home. And we were looking energetic, we were looking bright, but something changed on I think it was when Udogie got that yellow card. I don't know what minute that was.
18th.
Literally. So that must have been just after we had scored that second goal, which got ruled out. And then from that moment on, I don't understand what happened, but we just completely lost our heads. Look, we can blame Udogie and Romero, which I definitely think the majority of the blame lies on them. We'll talk about that later. But it wasn't just them. It wasn't like in that period that lost their heads. Van de Ven was going walkies a lot of the time. He was doing some odd things. Like Porro was doing some stupid passes, which kept putting us in trouble. Like we just completely lost our way out of nowhere, where we had control of the game.
Yeah, I think obviously Spurs, we thought we went 2-0 up on the 14th minute. That goal's ruled off for like the slightest of offsides. And then, yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know what happened after that. Everyone just seemed to lose the plot. And I just can't put my finger on what it's about. Is it about a young team, trying to handle the occasion or something like that? Because it seems as though we were bang up for it, bang up for the occasion, bang up for everything. And then on the flip of a switch, everything just went completely wrong. Chelsea were getting goals ruled out for VAR. They got the penalty from the VAR. I mean, the amount of VAR calls yesterday, I've never seen anything crazy like it.
Apparently, the first half, was 57 minutes long.
Yeah.
And we only had 23 minutes of actual gameplay.
Is that right?
Because of all the VAR checks and everything, which is crazy to think about. Half an hour just weighing around, basically, we had in that first half. But I guess let's talk about the incidents individually. The Udogie, first of all, his first yellow, I don't know if you've seen it back. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
You think it's a red, or you think he's lucky, or you think,
I
He's like,
think
he's fine.
I think if he is given a red, I don't think many people can complain about it, to be honest. And I think he was a lucky boy not to be given a straight red at that point. But like we were saying the same about him and about Romero, both of them probably deserved reds before they actually got it, and then they both got it in the end. But I think both of them, Romero and Udogie, were both very lucky not to see red probably before they were.
I would say Udogie, I agree, the challenge was terrible. I think the only thing that saved him is he just didn't really make any contact with Sterling. And I think if he had done any made serious contact, I think he's got to go. It's two-footed. And the annoying thing is, he got the ball first. There was no need to make a two-footed challenge.
Romero.
No, I'm talking about Udogie. Like that first one. Like he cleanly gets there first. He's anticipated the pass really well. There is absolutely no need to make a two-footed challenge there, like he's done. So I just don't understand why he's done that and made a stupid challenge like that and risking the red card. Luckily, he gets away with it. And then Romero, for some reason, goes walkies. He charges up the pitch. He shoves Thiago Silva in his own penalty box, which I don't mind. And then he has a stupid kick out at Levi Colwill, which I think I would say is not a red. I think he's an idiot. Don't get me wrong. I don't understand why he's doing that. He's just making a nonsense.
But you're
I don't think
you're
it's
giving the referee.
100%.
You're giving the referee a question, right? You're asking the referee to make a decision at that point, and you've seen those being given as red so many times. So why do it?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't think it was a red. But I'm not disagreeing. He was idiotic for that action. There's no need for it. I don't know what he's trying to do. Maybe just trying to rile up Colwill to react. But it wasn't violent. I don't think you can say that was a violent kick. It was like Beckham against Argentina in '98. I don't think it's a red. It was just a stupid thing to do.
That? He got sent off.
Yeah, and everyone recognises that was probably the wrong decision. Even Simeone does.
Simeone does.
I don't think it was a red. But again, it was a stupid decision.
It's so stupid to be giving the referee that kind of question at that point in the game when like we're fairly comfortable in the game. We're 1-0 up, and we're in the ascendancy. We have control. And then these kind of things happened and we completely just lost it.
And even before, I think Sterling then had the goal ruled out. But even before then, I think Nicholas Jackson had a great chance where he absolutely spins Van de Ven and forces a brilliant save out of Vicario. Then obviously Romero goes walkies. They had a chance, which Sterling obviously scored, which I thought was really poor defending from Porro. But luckily there was a handball against Sterling, so that goal's ruled out. And as well, he actually... not only did Romero nearly get sent off, but him going walkabouts nearly cost us because he left that space open and no one was filling it in, and that nearly cost us a goal. And then Romero again gives the ball away in a really simple position, puts us under pressure again, and it led to a whole bunch of chaos, which led to ultimately Caicedo scoring. That got ruled out, but Romero, trying to make up for his stupid pass, ends up getting sent off and there was a bad reaction. I was watching the game with headphones, so I heard the Spurs fans weren't happy when they showed it on the screen. But having watched it again, what do you think?
When I first saw it, because you see him just wing the ball and then obviously he follows through. At the first point, everyone around me, including myself, was like, nah, that's never a red card. That's never a red card. But then after watching it back, I think you can't really have any complaints, to be honest. He wins the ball, but he goes straight through the ball, and it's a really dangerous challenge in the end. Studs up, in the ankles, high up. I don't think anyone can have any complaints about the decision being made. And I said it. I think I said it at the time before all those crazy, because it was like two VAR checks before they checked the red card for Romero. And as soon as that happened, I was like, they're going to check a penalty red card here. They're going to check penalty red card. And alas, that's what they did. And that's what was given. And I don't think anyone can have any complaints about that.
I don't think so. I think Romero's, again, I understand he was trying to be forceful to stop a shot from Enzo, but he didn't have to follow through like that and just completely go through the man. And it was a dangerous tackle. The only thing he can say is he won the ball, and it was a bit unlucky the fact that that's where the tackle ended up. But I just think at the end of the day, he was just on one for some reason in those first half an hour, and he was just on a mission to try and hurt people, it seemed, and that was the consequence of it.
And look, we've given Romero a lot of praise for his work so far this season about how he's taken that leadership role by example. He's not doing any of these crazy things anymore, and he's towing the line between being over aggressive and stuff like that. But yesterday was back to the old Romero, and it wasn't good to see. It really wasn't, because he put us under pressure massively yesterday, and that's not what we need from a leader on the football pitch. And unfortunately, it was Romero back to the old Romero yesterday.
It was so needless. Like, we were in control, playing well, and then he just, I don't know what he was thinking yesterday.
He lost his head.
And it cost us. It absolutely cost us, because if he doesn't make that challenge, and who knows what would have happened. But definitely, I think we would have been much more in the game. I know, look, to be fair, even before the red card from Romero, Chelsea had definitely got control of that game and had 2 goals ruled out already before that moment. So it's not as if it was only that point that Chelsea started to get in the game. But who's to say that we wouldn't have regained control of that game if
I thought
Romero...
we would have done. I never felt like we weren't going to win this game. Even 10v11, I thought we could do something in the second half. I really did, but I always thought it was going to be a situation where Chelsea were going to put a lot of pressure on us in the first half, and it surprised me how quickly we came out the blocks in those first 15 minutes and how dominant we looked. And I did expect there may be a moment or a period of dominance from Chelsea in that first half, but we couldn't handle it. We didn't handle it well enough, and the moments that you saw from Romero and Udogie, it's just not good enough in a game like this, and we need to kind of look at ourselves and look at those 2 players specifically, and probably the other players you're talking about, because when we came under pressure yesterday, we did not handle that pressure well whatsoever.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is, in previous games, like, we've maybe as well had troubles with pressure, like what Chelsea put us under, like maybe the Arsenal game and whatever. But what we've been really good at is we've been really good at finding solutions to these problems, and I feel like the red cards didn't allow us to do that yesterday, and that really put a spanner in the works when it came to managing the game. Obviously Palmer puts the penalty away, which so close to Vicario stopping that. We end the half at 1-1, which whatever. It's 1-1. We're under pressure, and then second half. Again, I think we tried to play our game, but the most annoying thing about the red card, which happened really pretty much at the start of the second half, was that Udogie does so well to stop a 3-on-2 in Chelsea's favour, and then he just completely undercuts all his good work in a split-second decision by
and he knew it
fouling.
Straight away.
Yeah, he knew it.
See it straight away. It's like such a stupid challenge to make when you're on a yellow card, especially when we're down to 10 men already. It's like, what
we didn't even
doing?
mention Van de Ven injury, Maddison both going off in the first half. That Van de Ven
injury, as soon as that happens, as soon as he pulls up,
you just know.
You just knew it was going to be a really bad one. Now, we haven't got the extent of it just yet, but by his reaction, it looked like to me he was like crying on the pitch last night.
And I actually think if we were going to get a result, he was going to be basically the key to it, because he's so quick. He can sweep up so many situations. And I think, honestly, I'm looking at a lot of the goals we conceded late on in the game. We'll talk about the defenders who came in his place. But I'm looking at the goals. I'm thinking if Van de Ven was there, I reckon they probably don't even happen. A few of those chances. Like, I think if you're going to play the way we played in that last half an hour, you need a defender like Van de Ven. He needed a defender like him, otherwise it's too easy, and that's ultimately what proved in the end. But obviously that looks like a horrific injury. Maddison hopefully doesn't seem as bad. Ange said he went off because we were already man down and he didn't want to risk any further problems. And
was it not an injury?
It was an injury, but he said he maybe could have carried on in a different situation, but because we were already a man down, he thought it was safer to take him off. So hopefully his that's not too bad, but we'll see.
Højbjerg come on for Maddison, didn't he, at that point? Or he came on for Van de Ven, but like, how good was Pierre when he came on yesterday? I thought he was unbelievable. Filled in at centre-back. I thought he was brilliant. The way his energy and his application, everything is what we needed at very much that moment in time, because I thought he stood up massively for the team yesterday. Yeah,
exceptional. I think he really did a great job with him, especially when he had to move to centre-back. I thought he was actually a really good ball-playing centre-back. I've got to give him credit. I thought when he came on, he actually filled in and partnered Eric Dyer really well. And I think we ended the first half with a back four of Porro, Dyer, Emerson and Udogie. And then in the second half, it went to Porro, Dyer, Højbjerg and Emerson at left back. It was just complete Barney. It was craziness what was going on. Obviously, Udogie Udogie gets sent off with a stupid challenge, undercutting his good work, which was a massive shame. So now we're down to 9 men. We then make a double substitution. Bentancur and Skip come on. So then I think we're at this point in time, we've got a 4-3-1 with just Son up front, with a Basuma, Bentancur and Skip in the middle, and a back four of Porro, Dyer, Højbjerg, and Emerson. But after that, what happened was just something I don't think
I've ever seen that
was
before.
expecting.
I've never seen that before. You go down to 9 men, and all your players are pushed up to the halfway line.
It's crazy.
We had pretty much at one point, every single player we had was in a one row.
It was
on the
mad.
halfway line. I was like, I've
don't-
never seen anything like that before. Like, there are two ways you can look at it, right? You can look at it by being like, that's just batshit crazy, like, to do that with
Suicidal,
9 men.
I guess,
and against a team like that, especially Chelsea. I know they're not playing great at the moment, Chelsea, but they've got players that can hurt you, right? Either you look at it like that, like that's just batshit crazy, or you say, like, you commend the effort and the bravery and everything like that. And essentially, it nearly worked. Like, because they kept going through on goal. Vicario kept sweeping up. Vicario, bloody hell, was unbelievable yesterday. Like, the saves that he was pulling off, the catches from the crosses, and the way he was sweeping up yesterday, that was one of the best goalkeeper performances I've seen in a long time, and we lost 4-1.
Yeah, it was incredible. He made some really good saves, but what he was really, I guess, what it forced Chelsea to do, basically, the way we pushed all the way up. So basically, Chelsea kind of, because we were basically baiting them into this ball over the top every single time. We were waiting for it. So Vicario was just basically waiting on the edge of the penalty area every time, waiting for this ball over the top that he knew was coming, because we were forcing them into it in a way. And it was basically, he just kept sweeping up time and time again. He was like an extra centre-back, essentially, playing in that position. And he was doing it exceptionally well. I don't think he got one wrong. Every single time he came out of his penalty area, he got it right.
Spot on.
He was absolutely phenomenal at sweeping. And it basically, it forced Chelsea into that. And because they were basically playing into our trap in a way by continually going over the top. And to be fair, Chelsea did rush it a bit, and I think if we played a better quality team on the day, they'd probably find a solution a bit earlier. And obviously they did find one where Cucurella goes through and Vicario forced a save, and then that followed up by, I think, Palmer having a shot saved by Vicario as well. But in fact, I was looking at the stats. He only made 3 saves, Vicario, and that's because he just kept sweeping. They didn't allow that chance to come, and that was the most impressive thing. But unfortunately, the reality is it only takes one time to go right, and you get unstuck, and that is what happened in the 76th minute. But I think you got to give the team massive credit for how they responded to going to conceding that goal, because obviously we did the mega high line thing, which was absolutely it was incredible to see. We ended up getting undone with the goal from Jackson, but in that period for about 10 minutes, and obviously they scored in the 94th to wrap it up, but in that period we had 3 real promising openings to score. Obviously Dyer did score, which was just a hairline offside. It was it was a great goal.
I went to the toilet just after Jackson scored, and then I hear the whole stadium going mad when Dyer scored. I literally just zipped up and just ran into the stadium, and then it goes, offside. But yeah, I mean, it was a great volley from Eric Dyer.
What a story that would have been.
First of all, Eric Dyer was brilliant yesterday after he came on. I think there was a few dodgy moments from passing out the back after he came on, but I thought he was brilliant defensively, obviously with the volley as well. And everyone was saying it in the stadium yesterday when Dyer came on. They were like, this is his redemption arc. He's going to score the winner today. And he got that, and everyone was just like, no way. But look, it wasn't to be. Son goes bearing down, skinning their defence alive, and maybe a better shot would have hit the back of the net there. And Bentancur,
why the
hell did he not use his feet?
That was the one.
Why didn't he use his feet?
What a chance. That was the one, really, because he was onside right in front of goal. And what a story that would have been if he ended up scoring the equaliser after what he's been through, and especially his first game back at home as well after his injury.
I thought he looked good when he came on.
I thought he looked good as well. I mean, it was a tough situation coming on with 9 men. So every time he had the ball, he pretty much had like 2 or 3 men around him. Yeah. So it was very difficult to do what we know he can do. But he did as well as he could, and it was such a shame. And I think he won the header for Dyer's for when Dyer scored as well. So like he made an impact when he came on, even in the limited time he had on the ball. But obviously that was the chance. If he scores that, maybe we take a point, and it would have been an absolutely incredible point to take, an incredible moment. But unfortunately, he heads it into the ground. It's such a shame. And then obviously they go and score 2 and 3 and 4 and seal the game. Which, when you're pushing for an equaliser and there's going to be even more gaps. I mean, I don't know how there can be, considering we had all our players on the halfway line, but there were even more gaps than before. And I think the goals we conceded, I have to say, I saw them again. I'm not saying I'm completely blaming Dyer, but he was they just exploited his lack of pace on those moments. And what can you do? That's the reality of him playing in that role.
At the end of the day, you're playing with 9 men for the majority of the second half. You're playing with 10 men since half an hour in or something like that. You're going to get tired legs. You're going to get found out. You're going to get caught out. And that's exactly what happened. And look, you got to give credit to the team for sticking away, like not conceding, not going down until the 75th minute. I mean, that's impressive in itself.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the big thing with Postecoglou in this game is, even though we had 9 men, we still tried to win the game. Like we didn't try and just do what Liverpool did, basically, which is sit back in all 9 players inside the penalty area and try and see our result and just try and all we can to claim a point. Which maybe if we would have done that, and maybe we would have got the result.
That could have been our downfall. But that could have been our downfall. So I don't know. Like, if we would have just parked the bus and put everyone behind the ball, would Chelsea had enough to break us down?
Who knows? Maybe they would. We don't know that. But all I'm saying is that's not Postecoglou's philosophy, and that's not how he plays. He goes to win, and even if it means...
But that's not Klopp's philosophy either. Like, Klopp's philosophy is not to sit back and defend. You know what I mean? His philosophy is to go out and attack. Like, surely you got to read the game and find out what the best thing is to go and take something from the game. Well, I guess that really the best way of going about things.
I guess Postecoglou's thinking was, I've been training the whole week, to play in a certain way. There's no point changing it just because we're down to 9 men. I think the players will probably be better doing it our way than trying to play in this low block and adjusting to the game. Yeah, maybe down the line when we're further down the project, maybe that'll be a different scenario. But right now, when we're in the infancy of our project, maybe it's kind of thing, just by hook or by crook, we're just going to keep going in our way, and that will serve us better in the long term, rather than just trying to shift and adjust all the time to how the game is going. And if we stick to our project and how we like to play for the time being, that will serve us better in the long term. Maybe that's how he's thinking. And there was kind of method to the madness. I did understand what he's trying to do. He's forcing Chelsea into these long passes while preparing for it, and kind of playing on our terms, not waiting to concede, but kind of forcing the chances for Chelsea so that there will be turnovers quickly so we can get back on the ball.
It could have been a lot worse though than what it was. That's just the truth. Like you said before, like if we would have come out against a much better team or a better team on the day that was getting their balls spot on and they're timing their runs better, we could have conceded about 8 or 9.
Yeah,
literally. It's
true. It is true. I can't deny that. And so that's just, look, we're not going to find ourselves down to 9 men often, hopefully. So I don't think it's going to be a common occurrence. And maybe if, let's say it's a situation where it's the end of the season and we need a point to get top 4 or something, and the same situation happens, I'd like to think Ange wouldn't have done what he did yesterday, basically, in that scenario. But I just think right now we're in, 11 games in, we're still very early on the season and the project. I think he's thinking, I think I need to ingrain in these players that we don't stop playing our game, no matter the circumstances or whatever it is. That's how we're going to play. And I think that's probably what he was doing by how he played yesterday. And I commend him for it.
I commend him as well. I do commend him because it was very brave what he did, albeit we did end up losing 4-1. But it could have been a different story if we did put away those chances. Like, if that Dyer goal is not offside, that's like hitting back straight away just after they went 2-1 up. If Sonny scores that chance, if Bentancur scores that chance, it could be a completely different game. It really could have been.
And then you're talking about a genius.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's the thing, that the line is very fine between being absolutely mental and being a genius, isn't it?
Exactly.
And that's what it was yesterday. But in terms of players I thought the players yesterday, the ones that were left on the pitch, every single one of them put in such a shift for the team yesterday. And that's what I was most proud about. We literally, the motto is we never stop, and they did never stop. Literally, they never stopped throughout the whole game. Sonny, the amount of running Sonny did yesterday, I mean, he looked absolutely knackered by the end of the game, and he had a right to be, because I thought he was brilliant yesterday, Heung-min Son. I really did. If only he would have put that chance away, and I really I really envisaged him scoring that chance. Sanchez got the better of him in that moment of time, but I thought there was not one player on the pitch that was left on that pitch on 90 minutes that I can fault yesterday. I thought Bissouma, I've seen actually mixed reviews about Bissouma yesterday, but I thought he as well didn't stop running. I thought he did such good work defensively for the team when we were down to 9 men. He was surrounded by players at time, and he seemed to get out of it more times than not. Pedro Porro, I thought, had a really strong game yesterday after a very nervy start from him. Maybe a lot of wayward passes in that first half from Pedro Porro, but when we were down to 9 men, I thought he was growing into the game and being influential for us. Every single player that came on yesterday, Højbjerg, Emerson, Ollie Skip, Bentancur, all were unbelievable when they came on. So
only three players who started the game finished it.
Mad, absolutely mad. But look, everyone that finished that game yesterday for Spurs needs to come out of that with their head held high, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it was really difficult circumstances, and I think that's what people were coming out of it yesterday, especially the fans in the stadium, why they were so proud of the team, because I think they could see the intent, they can see that the non-stop running and how that is ingrained in the team from Postecoglou. And even though we didn't get the result, and even though we got, in the end, it was a 4-1 heavy defeat at home to Chelsea, yet the fans were still appreciative of what they saw. And I think that goes to show that it's not just the results the fans judge the players on and everything, that we can see beyond that. We can see the intent and how we can see the effort the players are putting in, and we can appreciate that. And I completely agree. I thought, in the circumstances, very difficult circumstances, I think they can all hold their heads held high in the effort they put in and how close they were to gaining what would have been an incredible result under the circumstances. It is a shame that now we've lost that unbeaten run. Postecoglou's lost his unbeaten home record as well. That's all a massive shame.
We were the last team to get beaten this season. They can't take that away from us.
Which, look, is what it is. But I think every player put in a real shift yesterday, and it's just a shame we got in the end nothing to show for it. But hopefully, I was reading Charlie Eccleshare's article today. He said in the dressing room after the game, apparently there was a real sense of pride and defiance in how we tried to manage the game and how we approached being down to 10 men, and everyone was proud, or about 9 men even, and everyone in the dressing room apparently was very proud of how they performed despite the result and the defeat. So hopefully these kind of moments will stand us in good stead when it comes to down the line, when everyone's really buying into just the atmosphere in the dressing room and everything like that. The fact that we lost 4-1 at home and no one's downbeat and no one is dejected and everyone still has their heads held high, hopefully I'll still give them the confidence that even though we're going to have challenges now in the future weeks with defenders missing and things like that, maybe we can overcome these things with the team spirit that we have.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never been at a game where Spurs have lost by a significant amount and they get clapped off the pitch, and there was literally a standing ovation for the team at the end of that game. And I've just never seen anything like it. Like, have you? Like, where we Spurs get absolutely, like, I wouldn't say torn apart, but we lost 4-1. And there's a standing ovation and a sense of pride after the game.
Especially against a rival as well, against Chelsea. Losing 4-1 to Chelsea.
At home.
Everyone would have thought this is a disgrace. Everyone's going to be going crazy after the game. But no one is doing that. No one is... Like, after the fan show yesterday, everyone was coming on with a sense of pride about what we had done. And even though, like... You could even argue we were stupid in how we approached being down to 9 men and stuff like that. But I think it's more to do with you could just see the effort the players were putting in and how they were approaching being that. They were being brave. And I think no one could take that away from Tottenham. And I think the fans can acknowledge that. And that all comes down from the manager and how he has instilled that in the players. And I think that's seeping through into the team. And I think it just proves that everyone still really believes in what he's doing. And even though we got a bad result yesterday, and even though as well, like the circumstances, Van der Ven injury, like it was a very worrying game, people are still very positive about what they saw.
I don't know about you in terms of the refereeing performance yesterday, but I felt like in the first half, the referee was just not giving anything to Spurs. Like, I don't know what it was like on TV, but from the stands, it felt like Chelsea were being very aggressive towards Spurs, and we were not getting anything. And yes, Spurs got their decisions, and rightly so, and maybe they could have come before that, and Spurs weren't exactly being angels themselves. But I felt like it was only Spurs getting penalised and not Chelsea.
I don't think there was a massive sense of that. There were a few fouls, to be fair, which I thought definitely we should have had, and they weren't given. It was a bit peculiar. But I would say, obviously, we got a bit lucky with a couple of VAR decisions, didn't we? With Udogie and Romero not getting sent off. So I wouldn't say it was completely one-sided. But I just thought the ref had a poor game in general. I didn't think he had a particularly great game. And VAR, just again, I mean, Postecoglou obviously spoke about VAR, didn't he, after the game really well, saying how, we have to stop complaining about decisions, and if you keep complaining, we're going to get more and more time added on to these VAR decisions because they're going to want to get the things right, and so they're going to take longer to look at these decisions, and we're going to have more waiting around, and that's not what you want to see. And I completely agree with him, and I think he spoke really well on it. But again, VAR is just getting involved in every minutiae. It seems to be getting more and more involved, VAR, as the weeks go by. And it's very, very frustrating. We're getting really long wait times. And you know what the most frustrating thing is? Like, for example, the Dyer decision yesterday, it really became apparent how it takes away that moment, because Dyer scored a goal and then I start celebrating, but then immediately there's a VAR decision. So the celebration lasted a second, then we got this VAR decision, and it just made me think, even if this goal is given, we're not going to get that moment back that Dyer scored and everyone's going crazy. That's gone now because of how VAR has come in and implemented it, and it's just not the same. And that Dyer decision goal could be given, and I'm still happy about it at that time. But that sense of euphoria and that sense of oh, what a moment, would never come back just because VAR is getting involved, and we just lose so much with VAR. And I'm starting I was a big fan of bringing it in, the technology, but just the way it's implemented at the moment and how football games are going, we just lose way too much of the sport, of what's good about the sport, to justify VAR coming in and even getting decisions wrong. Not to say they got anything really, really wrong yesterday, but I just think in general they're still getting decisions wrong. So it's not taking away the element of talking about the refereeing decisions, and we're losing a lot of the spontaneity of the sport and the energy of the sport and the fast-pacedness as well. It's too much waiting around now, and too much, and for this is me feeling it, watching it on stream, watching on TV. In the ground, it must have been 10 times worse because you just don't know what's going on, and it's just, for you, it's just crazy waiting around, not even knowing what they're checking or anything.
Yeah, look, it is frustrating, but I just think it's best to come to the correct decision. But I just don't understand why it takes so long to get to the right decision. Dyer was so clearly offside yesterday. Why isn't that a split-second decision?
Because we don't have automated offside, so we have this bloody drawing lines.
It's ridiculous. Stupid. But even with drawing the line in Stockley Park, that decision made, it should take a few seconds to draw that line and to come to a decision. Why does it take so long? Every decision yesterday, when they came to it, took so long to come to that decision. And it's just we're just waiting around for so long, and it doesn't need to be that way.
And for me, even things I know it's going to be controversial, but even things like the Romero red card, I don't think VAR should be getting involved in that because it's subjective. Yes, I do. I personally think it's a red card. I think he's a reckless challenge. But some would argue he got the ball and he was unlucky because the follow through happened to catch Enzo on the ankle, and maybe you could argue it was just a bit of an unlucky follow through, and you could have gotten away with not giving him a red. So when it's subjective like that, the VAR should just be implemented when the referee has just missed an absolute howler and he's missed something that is so obvious that everyone can see that should be the decision, like a penalty that he's completely missed or something like that. But in decisions like that, even with the Udogie one, even with the Romero red card, I just don't think the fact that VAR is getting involved in all these decisions, that isn't what I think the purpose of VAR should be. VAR should be missing clear and obvious. It should be sticking to the clear and obvious mantra that they brought it in, but it's getting way too involved. And I think Andrew's absolutely right. It's completely taking away the authority of the referee on the pitch, because the referee can give a decision, but the players won't even believe it because they know the VAR's there and they can overturn the decision, they can influence things. So it's completely diminished any sort of authority the referee has on the pitch. So that means he loses complete control on the pitch from the players because he doesn't have their respect or anything. And it's leading to, I think it's leading to, yeah, it was a great game to watch for the neutral, but I feel like these moments we're just losing way too many of them in the game, and I'm starting to question whether it's worth it at the moment. I think a lot of fans have already gone over to the other side saying it's not worth it, we should scrap it. I'm not 100% on the line of scrapping it just yet, but something needs to change, because the way it's being implemented is not good for the game, in my opinion. It leads to too much waiting around, which is pretty much what the selling point of this game was.
It doesn't need to be that way, though. It doesn't need to be that way. It's that the people that are implementing this VAR literally have no clue.
When we had it in the World Cup in 2018, I remember it was brilliant. Like, the decisions were made so quickly. It didn't really interrupt the flow of the game, apart from a few moments.
Because in the World Cup there, you had the best people in the world manning it. You had the best people from each country. It seems like in England they just have no clue how to use it.
In the World Cup in 2018, I don't think that Romero red card probably gets given. I think they just quickly move on with it if they go on the on-field decision. Like, I think they weren't delving into every single decision, only the real clear and obvious ones. And I think the Premier League, it's just getting too involved, way too involved in these too long wait times. Like, even with the Arsenal one, like, they were checking every single little thing, and they were taking minutes, and there was like a 2-minute wait on this, 2-minute wait on this, 2-minute wait on that, and it's just not. It's not good enough. But then again, we had the Liverpool incident, and that happened because they were going way too quickly, and so everyone complained about that, and now they're spending 5 minutes on every decision. So you reap what you sow in a way, because everyone complained about it. And that's what Andrew's saying, is like, if you're going to constantly complain about these things, then you're going to have these long wait times, because referees are going to want to take the time to make sure they get it right. And so I don't know. So that makes me think, like, is it ever going to improve with VAR?
Well, first of all, in terms of offsides, the offside thing is such an easy fix. Just implement automated offsides. That's all you need to do. It's like the most simple fix I've ever seen. And once you saw it work so well in the World Cup and the Champions League,
yeah, works well in the Champions League.
Why the hell is it not implemented in the Premier League? Why? It makes no sense. That's the one way that you can combat the offsides. The other thing is a whole different topic and a whole different conversation. But look, let's move on from the refs, because I'm just sick and tired of talking about refs and VAR every single weekend, literally. But let's finish off talking about where the hell the Spurs go from here, because we've got Romero out for 3 games, we've got Van de Ven out for God knows how long, we've got Udogie out for the next game, we've got Maddison, who knows if he's going to be out or not. Richarlison has just come out and said that he needs surgery, so he's going to be out for a while. What the hell is our backline going to look like for the next 3 games?
Yeah, especially with Man City coming up. But even before, don't even think about Man City. We got Villa and Wolves before that, and 2, hard games. I don't know what the hell our backline's going to look like. I'll assume Dyer probably keeps his place. Does Højbjerg play as a makeshift centre back maybe, and we bring Bentancur in? Ashley Phillips comes in. Dorrington. He wasn't, which is why probably why he didn't come on. But does Emerson play makeshift centre-back? Because he was the one who we went for initially in that first half. But Højbjerg did such a great job in that second half. Maybe he considers Højbjerg to play. It's going to be... The thing I would say is I'm less worried about it against Wolves, potentially, than I am obviously against Villa and City, because Wolves aren't the most offensive team. Obviously, Neto's probably going to be missing from the game. And we're still going to be a team, even with these problems, we're still going to be a team that sticks to our principles, is going to be playing with possession football.
And that worries me.
It worries me, but I think it's a good thing as well, because it means that even though our defence is going to be makeshift, hopefully we still don't have to do as much defending, which means that even though we're going to have these problems at the back, and when we lose the ball and when teams are attacking us, it's going to cause problems, no doubt about it. It still means that we can still win games by trying to outscore the opposition, or even just trying to keep possession away from the opposition.
Mental games, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I think we're going to see a lot of high-scoring games,
because we've seen, how many times that Van de Ven has just done the sweeping, and when there's been counter-attacks or attacks on us, and Van de Ven just comes over and just deals with it, basically.
Can you imagine if Bissouma gets booked in the next game after this Wolves game in the Villa game?
Yeah, then
we go to City with no Bissouma, no Romero, no Van de Ven,
maybe
no Maddison.
It's that Man City game which I'm very worried about.
I'm worried about the Villa game. I'm worried about Wolves this weekend as well.
I'm not saying I'm not worried as if like I think it's going to be an easy win. I'm saying I still think we can win that game.
We can, but
without these players, because I think the way we're going to approach the game means that even we can play with a very poor back four but still win, because the way we play is going to set us up that we're going to keep possession away from Wolves, and hopefully they won't have so many options to attack us, and especially without Neto as well. So hopefully that can still play in our favour. But when it comes to Villa, I agree, because they're very good up front, and Man City obviously are Man City, and they're going to have they're probably going to have the ball more than us.
With the Man City game though, like we've seen that we've had the blueprint over the last few years, where we can beat Man City, where we sit back, hold tight, hit them on the counter. We know we're not going to do that at the Etihad. So surely just going to the Etihad playing Ange ball is completely suicidal.
Correct. But he's going to do it.
It's completely suicidal. Like we are going to get absolutely battered in that game. Like,
but maybe we'll score a couple of goals as well.
Yeah, but I just feel like maybe just for one game, Ange, one game.
He sticks to his principle. He won't do it. Why though? But I understand we might get battered, but it's a learning curve for the team, and it means that Ange isn't going to adjust, especially right now.
But maybe he should, is what I'm saying.
Why? Why for the long term of the team?
But one game is not going to change the long term of the team. One game, just one game where
he's sending a message.
If you stick to your principles, you're going to get absolutely battered. Why not just show what we've done against City for the last couple of years with what we have to go through with all these missing players? Just look at that situation and think, all right, let's not be a bit naive here. Let's just stick together.
I wouldn't call it naive. I call it stubborn. I think it's
a bit of both.
I don't think it's naive. Postecoglou has been a manager for a long time. He's not naive. He's seen everything. He knows exactly if he does what he's going to do against Man City. I think he knows what he's up against. He knows what might happen. I don't think he's naive. I just think he's stubborn. He's going to stick to what he's doing because this is the way we train. This is the way we try to play. He's probably thinking there's no point. The best way of going forward and trying to get a result is trying to play the way we've been training the whole season rather than just adjusting for one game and hoping for the best and hoping to keep them out through defending in a deep block and all this kind of stuff. His philosophy would be, we're better off trying to play the way we're going to play and trying to get a result that way than trying to just adjust our whole way of playing and trying to become good at that way. The reason why we've been getting these results against Man City the way we've been doing recently is not because we've adjusted our way of playing for Man City, it's because that's the way we've been training and we actually did it really well, but we haven't been training that way under Postecoglou. So no point just adjusting it all for one game and thinking that it's going to get us, that's the best way to get a result. The best way to go about it is to go forward with how we've been going, and if we get the result, we get the result. That's probably he's thinking the best way forward is.
Yeah, but I still feel like when you get put in a situation, you need to react to the situation, and we're going into a really difficult period now, in a really difficult situation with our defense and our backline completely decimated. Ange has known and Ange has seen this team probably play against Man City before and the way that we can do it. And these players have shown that they can do it before. So why not just for one game, just try sit back and hit them on the counter with the players that we know that can do it, with Sonny, with Brennan Johnson, with these kind of players.
If you're a vegetarian, you don't go for a Macca's. That's the reality. If you're a vegetarian, you don't go for a late night Macca's.
Yeah, well, you can. You can get a veggie burger.
Veggie burger.
Let's go get a veggie burger.
Let's go get. I don't think so. It's not. You don't get seen. If you're a veggie, you don't get seen going into Macca's.
Let's go get a veggie burger from McDonald's. That's what I'm saying.
No, absolutely not.
But look, it's going to be a very, very difficult.
And I think that this is what we got to part with. If this is Ange, I think he's going to look, and we might go through some tough periods. Everyone knows we're going to go through some tough periods, but I think it's going to serve us better in the look. Guardiola didn't change his philosophy. You know what I mean? When in his first season, there were times where he was under real pressure. And I remember they lost 4-0 to Everton and away from home, and they were going through some really tough times. But he didn't say, "Oh, we're going to change it up because we're missing this player or that player." He stuck to his philosophy by hook or by crook, and in the long term, it served him very, very well. And I think Postecoglou looking at it the same way.
All right. That is your match review for the 4-1 defeat at Chelsea yesterday. I think there are a couple of super chats to get through. Yeah, there was one members chat from Rick in Rio. Member for 15 months. A big up to yourself, saying incredible game and the 12 men were brilliant all night long. Place was bouncing and the suicide high line did almost work. Great lesson for them. Yeah, I mean, Spurs fans, I can't give them more praise than what they showed yesterday. They were absolutely amazing from start till finish. You really got, there was a proper sense of occasion when we got into that stadium yesterday. The goal line bar was like I've never seen it before. Literally, it was, the whole place was bouncing at the goal line bar. There was no space for anyone to move. It was mad, and the songs were coming out in their numbers. And in the ground, again, absolutely amazing. And it was amazing right until the final whistle. The team got a standing ovation after losing 4-1 at Tottenham against Chelsea. You tell me another club that give their team a standing ovation and get beaten 4-1 at home by one of their biggest rivals, and the return of a manager as well.
Doesn't happen. No, it doesn't happen.
So the Spurs fans come out of that with high praise yesterday. Timmy Schnitzel with the super chat saying, Ben, we love you, but we don't stop.
We don't stop. That's Postecoglou.
Look, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm just scared. I'm just scared, to be honest.
You should be scared. I'm scared, but I'm also excited.
We'll see what happens. But look, let's get into the player ratings. Let's start off with Vicario. We've both given him a 9 all rounds. And I don't think I've ever said, I don't ever seen like a goalkeeper being given, well, I gave a man the match yesterday for conceding 4 goals in a 4-1 defeat, but the scoreline just does not tell the story of the whole game for Vicario yesterday, because he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. The saves that he was making from point blank range, the sweeping was just so impressive. Catching crosses as well. I mean, the guy was just insane yesterday, and I don't think you can put any of the goals that we conceded down to him either.
Yeah, I thought he was exceptional. What a performance from, even in the first half when he had to make some crucial saves to keep the game at 1-1 from Nick Jackson and from Palmer. Then the second half, I've never seen a keeper sweep like that in my life, really. It was a masterclass in sweeper keeping from Vicario, especially with Spurs playing this mega high line. And he was absolutely exceptional. I think it was 12 defensive actions outside the box, which is more than any keeper in any game this season. I think even last season as well. Fantastic performance. And again, another example of him just being one of the best keepers in the Premier League this season. He was just exceptional on the day. Can't give high enough praise to him.
Yeah, I was saying in the WhatsApp yesterday, if we had Lloris in goal yesterday, probably double figures in goals we conceded yesterday.
Probably. Although Lloris was very good at coming off his line in his early career, but once
upon a time. I'm talking about today's Lloris.
Oh yeah, today's Lloris. Obviously, yeah.
Let's move on to Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him an 8. Surprising you gave him a 6. So I thought Porro was really good yesterday. Yes, he was poor in the opening exchanges where, his passing was letting us down. But I felt like he just grew and grew and grew into the game. And when we went down to 9 men, I thought he was vital for us. The amount of tackles and duels he was winning, he was going all out. And I thought his nature on the pitch, his application on the pitch really stood us in good stead.
Yeah, I just couldn't ignore the first half. I thought he was really poor. Not only was his passing poor, put us in a lot of dangerous situations, I thought Sterling was giving him a real tough time in that first half as well. I thought the defending for the goal that Sterling had ruled out was really poor. He got beaten way too easily for that as well. I just thought he was really poor in the first half. I agree with you, though. Second half, he improved massively, and I was really happy with the second half performance. But if I'm giving him honestly a 3 or 4 out of 10 that first half, I gave him like a 7 or an 8, so it averages to about 6. So I gave him a 6.
Moving on to Cuti Romero, 1s all round for Romero, and I'm not sure what that 1 is. Probably just for crossing the white line to come onto the pitch, to be honest, because this guy, the old
1
Cuti,
for taking the game to Chelsea,
yeah, 1 for kicking lumps out of Chelsea. But I thought, look, could have got sent off before he did get sent off, and that was pretty much the only actions he had in the game. He completely threw the game away pretty much yesterday, and it was Coutinho Romero doing the old Coutinho Romero things, and it's unfortunate to see because you're looking at it, and the two games where he's come under massive criticism now this season, Arsenal away and Chelsea at home, are two biggest games that we've had so far this season. And at the Arsenal game, he scores an own goal and gives away a penalty. In this game, he gets sent off after half an hour
and gives away a penalty.
So it's these big occasions where Romero needs to watch himself massively.
100%. He let us down massively yesterday. I'm very disappointed in him, to be honest. And I think, look, I still think he's a brilliant defender. And even look, there are defenders who are very good and known as some of the best defenders who get loads of red cards. Look at Pepe, Sergio Ramos throughout their whole career. They've been aggressive, and how many red cards did Ramos get in his career? About 30 or so, ridiculous. And he's known as one of the best centre-backs in Europe. So I don't think just because he gets the occasional red card, and that means he's a liability or anything like that. But it wasn't just the red card. He was so poor just throughout the game. The quality was missing yesterday. He gave the ball away in the lead up to the penalty as well. We were in control when he gave away, when he started doing those stupid things, and that's what ultimately lost us that control in the end of the day. And especially when he's part of the leadership group, he can't be putting the results at risk like that the way he was, and letting the team down. And ultimately, it cost us. I think he has to learn from it. Hopefully, down the line, it'll be a big learning curve for him, and he can cut it out. But we've said it before, and he's still doing it. So part of me thinks he's never going to cut it out. But hopefully, he stops doing it in such crucial games and in games where we need him to stay on the pitch.
That's what it is for me. I mean, like, in all the other games, apart from those two games, like, he's been perfect in terms of like being overly aggressive, being a leader, showing that responsibility. But then as soon as it comes to these big games, the Arsenals and the Chelseas, it's like this thing switches in his head. Like, he just goes back to the old Romero being overly aggressive and just like letting the occasion get the better of him, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate to see. But let's move on to Mickey van der Ven. 7s all around from Mickey. Obviously, he goes off in the first half, in the latter stages of the first half, and that injury, that was probably the worst moment in the game in terms of the outlook of the season and what's going to happen with us now, because he's been so crucial to us, and unfortunately, that injury is going to cost us big time. It really is. And I'm not sure like what our backline is going to look like for the rest of the season or while he's out injured. But in terms of what he did on the pitch, he wasn't at his amazing best, to be honest. But I feel like he was doing a really good job for the team. I thought our playing out the back, everything, there were some good and bad moments in there from him. But I did think there were more good than bad from Mickey van der Ven. And I thought he played well for the most part. But it's that injury that really cost us.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's devastating. To be honest, you saw him in so much pain when he went off and could barely walk as well. He was seen on crutches after the game. So it seems as though it's going to be, as Postecoglou said, a significant injury. I thought he was having a pretty decent game, but there were points where he didn't cover himself in much glory. The challenge in the build-up to Romero got a penalty was poor as well. Takes a swipe at Sterling, gets nowhere near him. He got absolutely spun by Nicholas Jackson for a chance in the first half as well. But he was doing a lot of good work, sweeping up behind our defence, especially more when he was next to Dyer and he had to do a lot of defending. He was doing some good stuff, and unfortunately, that moment is going to looks like it's going to cost him dearly, that injury. So hoping for a speedy recovery, but it just doesn't look good for him.
Yeah. Destiny Udogie, Sim gives him a 3, I gave him a 2. Obviously could have got sent off in the first half, gets a yellow card, gets another yellow card at the start of the second half, gets sent off, and quite rightly so. 2 stupid challenges to make. You got to say that. And, you know, maybe that was his youth and inexperience showing through. I'm not going to lay into him as much as I am with Coutinho Romero, because Romero is supposed to be that leadership head in the back line, where Udogie's a young player coming through, 20 years of age, 21 years of age. But having said that, if you're old enough and you're good enough to play in a team, you've got to show that responsibility and you've got to show that maturity, which he didn't do yesterday, unfortunately. And it wasn't just the sending off as well. I thought he started the game really poorly, to be honest. I thought he was giving away the ball a lot. It wasn't the kind of Udogie that we've seen for the most part of the season, and I felt he was just poor, even when he was on the pitch.
Yeah, I think when he was on the ball, especially in the early exchanges when Spurs were looking good, I thought he was actually looking quite good. But again, it all changed when he made that silly challenge on Sterling, which, you know, he was lucky to get away with a red. And the annoying thing is, we saw what happened when at Arsenal. Like, he got an early booking. Yeah, he composed himself, ended up having a really good game. But unfortunately, it seemed like it got to him in this one, and it wasn't the same. Albeit the second yellow came from a really good piece of defending, which I got to give him a bit of credit for, because he stopped a 3-on-2 and he did really good interception. But again, unfortunately, it follows up with a really poor challenge on Sterling, literally the second later, and ends up getting sent off. So maybe a bit of immaturity there from Udogie, showing rearing his ugly head, unfortunately for him. So it's something he'll learn from. He'll only be missing for 1 game as opposed to 3, which is positive, but something he needs to learn from if he's going to be develop into a top left back, which he seems to be doing. I'm not going to batter him too much, and he's still only 21, but showed a bit of immaturity yesterday, unfortunately.
Pape Matar Sarr, moving on to him, 7s all round for Pape. I thought it was another really strong display from Sarr, to be honest, especially when we went down to 10 men. I thought Sarr was just putting in such a shift for the team, never stopping running, putting out a lot of fires and winning a lot of duels in the centre of the park. Going forward, he tried to spur us forward and push us forward a lot, but he got taken off quite soon after that second red card, to be honest, and maybe he ran out of energy or something. I'm not sure why he got taken off.
Yeah, it was on a yellow, and I think we need a bit more energy. I actually thought, again, in the first 15 minutes, he was actually crucial in a lot of the good stuff we did. He played a nice ball out to Kulusevski, who, when we scored, and then he played a really nice ball out to Udogie in the build-up to the second goal, which obviously got ruled out from offside. But he was really bright. He was looking really energetic. He actually showed a bit of quality on the ball as well. But when we're down to 10 men, obviously became very difficult for him. He had to do a lot of work off the ball. He had one chance in the second half to slip in Son, and the pass was just a bit off, and unfortunately didn't go our way. But he showed really good energy to keep us in the game with when we were down to 9 men, but unfortunately wasn't enough and was taken off. But a solid showing for him.
Moving on to Yves Bissouma, Soon gives him a 6. I gave him an 8. I do actually think 11v11, he was actually quite poor and wasn't impacting the game too much. But I felt like when we needed him, when we went down to 10 men, when we went down to 9 men, I thought he really did a massive shift for the team, to be honest. I thought he was defensively brilliant, showing his passing ability as well in that second half. And again, another one that just put in a massive shift for the team in that second half. And that's why I rated him quite high.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in the second half, in the last half an hour or so, he did see something seemed to click into gear for him, and he was actually having a really strong showing. And a part of the reason why we were still in the game, especially on the ball, was because Bassoum was doing a great job. But I thought for the first hour or so, I just didn't see much of him, to be honest. I thought he was just a bit anonymous, which is unlike Bassoum, because usually he's very involved in the game, at least on the ball or off the ball. But I didn't see too much of him for the first hour. But he definitely did start to get more involved in later on in the game, and was starting to have a really strong showing and did a really good work for the team. But I couldn't ignore the first hour, so I gave him a 6.
Moving on to James Maddison, 6s all round from us. Did get taken off in the first half, in the latter stage of the first half, due to injury. 6s all round for him. I mean, he struggled yesterday, Maddison, to be honest, to play his proper stuff. I felt like, when we were on top in the first 15 minutes, he was central to that. But apart from that, after the first 15 minutes, Chelsea really put it on us. So, I mean, he wasn't really in the game. And it was just unfortunate that he had to go off.
Yeah, taken off in 35 minutes or so.
I think it was a bit later than that.
Maybe a bit later.
It was like 45th minute or something.
45th minute. Yeah, it wasn't his game, really. Obviously, he spent a lot of the game down on the ground, being injured. He went down a couple of times before ultimately having to go off. I thought in the first 15 minutes, he was good. I thought he played I thought he was, again, a big part of the good football we were playing. But unfortunately, once we went down to 10 men and things started going against us, he was on the periphery. So it just wasn't really his game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Moving on to Decky, 7s all round from us. And I was actually saying to someone, they go to me, I can't remember who they said, needs to score today, needs to score. And I go, no, Decky needs to score today, and show that his good form in the season. He needs to back it up with goals. And 6 minutes in, he scores a goal. Yes, it was very much a deflection that finds the back of the net. And I've looked at it again a few times. I'm not too sure that shot was on target, to be honest, from Decky.
I think it was.
You think it was?
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm not too, I don't know, maybe. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think another player that put in a really big shift for the team, non-stop running, His off the ball work was brilliant. The amount of duels he was winning was brilliant. But look, we were just under so much pressure with the lack of numbers. But I do think he was, again, another player that really stood up yesterday.
Yeah, and I thought even in the second half, I think he got taken off on the hour. But in the second half, he did some really great pressing and tackles inside the Chelsea half, which really, like, there was one moment where he tackled a Chelsea player and it led to Sarr having a chance to slip in Son. Like, he was doing some really good stuff. First half, I thought he was energetic, especially in the opening exchanges, and obviously did really well for the goal. I thought he was having a really good battle with Colwell, and I thought he was winning it up until things started to go against us. So I thought he's had a really strong game, and he put in a massive shift for the team. But unfortunately,
Colwell got taken off after.
Yeah, he got booked, and I thought he was struggling against Kulusevski, to be honest. But unfortunately, he went down to 9 men, and Postecoglou had to change it, so Kulu was the one to be taken off. But I thought he had a pretty strong showing when he was on the pitch.
Yeah, very hard work. In terms of Heung-min Son, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him an 8, and I thought this guy just richly ran his socks off for the team yesterday. Obviously, nearly put us 2-0 up just after we scored our first, when he was just like a millimetre offside. It was so unfortunate. Nearly as well had a big chance to level it up later on in the game, when just after Chelsea go 2-1 up, when he beats like 2 men bursting into the box. Great pace he was showing, and it was just a tiny bit of a poor finish where Sanchez was equal to it. But again, another player that put in such a major shift for the team. He was doing such a hard task, wasn't he? Up front on his own, just chasing down everything. Leading by example, really, with the application and the energy that he was showing on the pitch yesterday. And again, that's why I marked him up quite high.
Yeah, he definitely had a bright start to the game. He was looking really energetic and really good, battling up against Disasi and Silva in the opening exchanges, and was actually getting the better of them quite a few times. Obviously, not only with his hold-up play, I thought he was quite good. And then obviously he had that goal ruled out for offside, but again, showed his predatory instincts. Unfortunately, went against him on that occasion. But then it became very difficult for him, especially when it went down to 9 men. It was literally him against 3 defenders pretty much every time. And it was very difficult for him to have any sort of joy. He was obviously non-stop running. He was continuously trying to even press. Even when we had 9 men, he was trying to press them and try to force situations. Unfortunately, to no avail. But he had the big opportunity late in the game, which he made for himself, to be fair to him. And it was a really good piece of dribbling and piece of play from him. But unfortunately, wasn't able just to didn't quite catch the strike right. And Sanchez was able to save. I don't have any complaints about his work ethic. I just thought it was very difficult for him in that game to get involved under the circumstances.
And last but not least, Brennan Johnson, 7s all round for Brennan. Started the game so brightly, didn't he? On that left-hand side, giving them no ends of problems, putting in nice crosses into the box, energetic, dangerous. And I'm starting to feel sorry for Brennan Johnson now. I mean, he just can't seem to get this Spurs career kicked off properly. I mean, he starts his first game against Arsenal, has to get taken off through injury, starts his second game against Chelsea, and he's the fall guy for Romero's red card, albeit he was one of the better players on the pitch at that moment in time. But yeah, it was just unfortunate.
Yeah, I think Brennan had a really bright first half an hour, to be honest, before getting taken off. I was really happy with his performance. I thought Reece James was struggling against him, to be honest, whenever he got the ball. He was doing really well when he was facing up against Reece James, and he was either cutting inside or going to the byline, and James couldn't really have an answer for him. But unfortunately, yeah, it's a shame for him. He can't seem to get a consistent run of games because of circumstances at the moment.
I think he will now, though.
But look. I think he looked a lot better than Richarlison did, even though maybe you could argue he didn't do as much. But I think he looked brighter and he looked much more suited to that role on the left-hand side than Richarlison does. And obviously, he's definitely going to get an extended run of games now that Richarlison's out injured. So, thought it was a really bright performance from him. Really good pass as well to Son for the offside goal. So I was really happy with Johnson. So hopefully he's obviously going to get more game time now. But again, I just feel sorry for him that, as circumstances went against him again.
Moving on to the substitutes, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, 8s all round from us. I thought it was a brilliant display from Pierre when he came on yesterday. When he moved in, he was actually better at centre-back than he was in midfield, to be honest, yesterday. And his ball-playing ability, I thought, was top-notch. His aggression, top-notch. if we would have got a result yesterday, we would have had a lot to thank to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg yesterday, because that's how good he actually was. And with us having a lot of injuries, maybe he's the one that can step up, slot into centre back, slot into midfield, where we've got massive holes. But I think the last couple of times that Højbjerg has played now, you're really seeing the value of him.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought he came on in a difficult situation and did himself proud under the circumstances, really put in a massive shift. And to put in a shift in makeshift centre-back as well, I was very impressed with some of the tackles he was making, the recoveries. I think what encapsulated his game was, I think his first action moving centre-back, he cleared a Nick Jackson header off the line with his knee, and then celebrated it like we just scored a goal as well. That was proper raw, the over stuff from Højbjerg. Had a really strong showing, and maybe he showed an ability to play a bit of a ball-playing centre-back kind of role, which maybe we might need in the upcoming weeks. So we'll see what Ange thinks of it, but I thought he did himself really proud with his performance off the bench.
Eric Dyer came on yesterday in the first half. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8, and everyone just feared the worst when Eric Dyer came on. And look, to be fair, the worst did happen because we ended up with losing 4-1. But I thought Eric Dyer was brilliant when he came on. I thought maybe his playing out the back was a bit dodgy when he first came on. Maybe he needed a bit of time to get into the game. But I thought once he did get into the game, defensively, he was absolutely spot on until maybe the last couple of minutes when he got caught out. But that was always expected when you're playing that much of a high line with Eric Dyer at the back. You're going to get caught out. That's just essentially what's going to happen. But I felt like he was winning his duels. He was helping out the team massively and nearly got on the score sheet, really, with that offside goal with an amazing volley that hits the back of the net, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, I think he had a much better cameo performance than anyone would have anticipated under the circumstances. I thought, especially when we were down to 10, he was doing well. He had a really strong performance. Didn't really make any mistakes. When we were down to 9 men, I felt like every time they were able to get him behind, Dyer had a bit of a part to play in it. But look, at the end of the day, when you're playing at that kind of high line with Dyer in the back, you have to expect the situations to happen because that's not his game, and that's not where we see the best of Eric Dyer. So it wasn't. I'm not going to blame him. That is just what I saw, what I observed, especially with the goals late on. I feel like they were running off him specifically and targeting his lack of pace with the balls in behind, and obviously that proved it. And that does make me concerned if we're going to be playing a high line in the future with him at the back. But I have to give him credit because a lot of the times he was making crucial interceptions and tackles, and obviously a brilliant finish for the goal as well, which was ultimately ruled out for offside. So he had a really strong showing, but I feel like he stepped up in a difficult situation, whereas if he is to start games coming forward, we'll have to wait and see whether he gets caught out or not.
Yeah, he's going to need to step up over the next few weeks, that's for sure. In terms of Emerson Royale, another player that came on, 7 from Sim, 8 from me. And I thought another player who put in such a major shift for the team yesterday. He won 10 out of his 13 ground duels yesterday. And that just shows like what an amazing performance and what a shift he put in. Under so much pressure, Emerson just steps in and he was aggressive, defensively sound. I mean, everything that we needed from him in that 45 minutes of football, he pretty much gave us. We just came unstuck in the last stage of the game. Yeah,
I thought he had a good performance, to be honest. Defensively, I thought he was brilliant. And when we're down to 9 men, that's going to be a big part of the game. I thought he was good at centre-back and he was good when he moved to full-back as well. The only downside I would say is late in the game, he had a few moments to get forward and try and provide something. He just didn't have it in him to do anything really. So that was a bit of a shame. Wasn't able to put any sort of good crosses in or anything like that. But defensively was spot on and was a big reason why we stayed in the game for so long.
Ollie Skip, another one that came on in the second half. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him an 8. I think there seems to be a consistent theme here where I'm overrating players and you're underrating players. I'm not sure which one's right, but I think from me in the stands, I felt like they put in such a good shift and such a back to the wall performance, going down to 9 men. I felt so so much pride coming out of that stadium with the way our players worked and what they did for the team. I couldn't not rate them high. And I think Ollie Skip was another one who just put himself about so much after he came on, the amount of challenges he was putting in and the aggressive nature to his game. And I just felt like if these players didn't perform the way they did, we would have lost even more heavily than we did.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he did badly. I don't think he did particularly anything incredible, but he did make a few really good last-ditch challenges, which prevented us from conceding earlier. Obviously, on the ball, it's always going to be very difficult under the circumstances, but he didn't show too much. But I understand because, when you're down to 9 men, the opposition have more players than you, so it's always going to be more difficult to show anything on the ball. But he wasn't able to show any kind of quality, which was a shame. But I thought off the ball, he was really great, and he did do a lot of good work and a lot of last-minute challenges. So give him some credit for that.
And last but not least of the playing staff, Rodrigo Bentancur, 7s all round for him. It's like he's never been away, to be honest. It's like he's never had this ACL because he's coming on and he's so silky and he's so good on the ball. I thought he came on and did a really good job for the team. Should have scored at the end. I don't know why he didn't use his feet instead of using his head, because I think if he uses his foot, it's probably a goal, and we don't know how the game ends. But I do think that maybe defensively he wasn't as good as maybe the other players that did come on. But again, I'm just loving seeing him back, and he's going to be massive for us over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. I thought he had a really bright cameo. Obviously, he had missed that chance, which would have been unbelievable if we would have scored it right then, and it would have been reward for his good work. He actually won the header as well, which led to Dyer scoring. So he did make an influence off the bench. On the ball, I thought he was providing actually a bit of quality as well. He was kind of being a winger at times and being a number 10 at times. He was trying his best to make something happen, to no avail, but he's still looking bright. It was good for him to get half an hour in his legs as well, off the back of obviously that big injury. So it was good to see him for a sustained period of time, and I thought he coped with it pretty well. So hopefully see more of him soon.
Now we move on to Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6, and I was struggling to rate Ange for this one. I really was, because there's so many different ways you can look at this game. So many. And the way I look at it is, we go down to 9 men, which is obviously no fault of Ange, but the way he reacted to going down to 9 men, playing I've never seen such kamikaze football before in my life. It was basically completely do or die. Either we were going to get something out of it, or we were going to get absolutely battered in the scoreline. Unfortunately, it was latter, but it was so close to being the other way. It really was. I've never seen a team create so much with 9 men. Like, we had 3 big chances with having 9 men, with the Bentancur one, with the Sonny one, and who was the other one with the Dyer, the one that was offside. So you got to give him credit for the way he just sticks to his guns and says, no matter what, even if he said in the post-match interview, like, even if I go down to 5 men, I'm going to be playing a high line. I'm going to stick to my principles. But I do think that when certain situations happened in games, you do have to kind of adjust your tactics and adjust to the way you're playing. And then maybe if we did do that, we could have come out with a different result. And I'm thinking to myself, if we did go park that bus, could we have just nicked a draw out of that game and not look so open and not give away so many chances? I don't know, but I'm just thinking that maybe that could have been a situation. But you got to commend the bravery, you got to commend the way, the application and the mentality that he's instilled into those players. Like, you go down to 9 men, not one of those players gave up. They all put in a massive shift for the team, and they were all playing in the image of Ange Postecoglou. But I thought the subs that he made, I thought everyone came on and put in an unbelievable performance. It's going to be interesting to see how we react from this with all these players out, because if we can come out of this period with still being in and amongst the top of the league, Ange Postecoglou is literally the messiah. But essentially we lost 4-1 at home, so he has to get down marks for it. It is our first loss of the season in a very big game. But it's more that what happened in the game with the individual errors and the individual moments that are really going to kind of come under scrutiny. I don't think that's much to do with Ange, but I've just given him a 6 because I do feel like maybe he could have taken different situations in the game and got something out of it. But on the flip side of that, I do commend him for sticking to his guns and nearly getting something out of the game. So I'm very conflicted on this one.
Yeah, well, with him, we lost 4-1, and the fans gave him a standing ovation at the end of the game, or a big cheer at the end of the game. I think that goes to show all you need to know about what most people thought about our performance and how brave and how we kept stuck to our principles and stuck to our philosophy for even under the most testing of circumstances. And I credit Ange for trying to win the game, even though we're down to 9 men, even though most managers in this situation are gonna park the bus essentially and trying to eke out a draw. He didn't do that. He did things his way. It was his way or the highway. And I think fortune favors the brave. It didn't favor us in this time, but I think more often than not it will. And that's what he's trying to instill in his players. And I think he was inches away from a miraculous result and his tactics looking like a genius move rather than suicidal. But I agree. Maybe in terms of was it conducive? Was it the most conducive way of trying to get a result in a full match under the circumstances? Maybe not, but I'm never going to criticize a manager for trying to win it, for always trying to go and win the game rather than trying to get a result, and that's what he did, even with 9 men. I think maybe later on in the season, when results and crunch time comes in and we need results to achieve our objectives, I do think he's going to see things in a different way. But right now, while we're in this project and everyone's still learning about how we want to play, and everyone's trying to get up to speed, it's not about we're top of the league, but I don't think he's looking about it like, we're in a title challenge, we need points. He's looking about like, I want to ingrain in these players how we play, and that we don't stop playing the way we play even under these certain circumstances. So I think that's what he's trying to instill. And I think the fact that we had such a bad result and the fans reacted that way, for me, shows a lot more than just having that result in isolation. So I think that means more to me and hopefully to the long term of this football club. So that's why I credited Ange Postecoglou for that.
You got to commend and you got to say it's unbelievable bravery, and you got to say as well, like, credit to Ange and his mentality, because even at 9 men, even at 10 men, he still thought that we can go get a result and still go and even win that game, never mind draw the game.
I don't think he wants the draw. He didn't want the draw. He wanted to win.
Yeah, so it's unbelievable mentality from Ange, but I do feel like if he did take other steps, maybe we could have nicked a draw out of that.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Is what it is. That is our player ratings. It's going to be very interesting to see how the next few weeks pan out. I was saying to someone before the game, I was speaking to him, and we were like, oh, this international break has come at the worst time for us. And then like at the end of the game, I bumped into him, and we both didn't even like say anything to each other. We were both like, international break, we need it now.
Now. No time, no time to waste.
Exactly. But that is our player ratings. Let's move on to the 5 takeaways and see what 5 things we can take away from that 4-1 defeat to Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And the first thing we're going to look at is the sweeper keeper.
And I think Vicario probably took that to the extreme yesterday with his sweeping, which was absolutely exceptional in the second half. The amount of times he was coming out of his penalty area and making defensive actions outside the penalty box. In fact, he had a very busy game, but he only made 3 saves on the day. And actually, a lot of it came from his sweeping, which was the best stuff. And he made 12 sweeping actions in the game, which is more than any keeper in any game this season has made. He's actually top of the league in terms of sweeping actions throughout the whole season with 33, which is 8 more than any other keeper this season, which shows he's really getting to grips with that sweeping role that he's been asked to perform under Postecoglou. And I was looking back to last season, no keeper made 12 sweeping actions outside the box in one game than Vicario. So really, really impressive. And again, he just seems to be getting better and better each week. And I think you need supreme confidence to do what Vicario did yesterday. And I think he showed that. But he didn't only have the confidence to do it, but he had the quality to do it as well, to time those runs to perfection. And he was just absolutely fantastic from Vicario.
Yeah, I do think he was a little bit helped by the Chelsea front line, who were quite poor and mistiming their runs and not playing perfect balls over the top and in behind Spurs. But I don't think you can take away anything from Vicario. He was absolutely immense yesterday. And when have you last said that? Spurs concede 4 goals, but the goalkeeper gets man of the match. It's absolutely nuts. And my love for Vicario, I've made it very clear how much I love that guy. And it just went up tenfold yesterday after that performance yesterday. Elite mentality from Vicario. And he's just a pleasure to watch. He really is a pleasure to watch, and I think he's the best performing goalkeeper in the league at the moment, and I don't think really anyone can argue against it. So unbelievable performance from Vicario. Unfortunate to concede 4 goals, but nothing is of his own doing. So big up to Vicario. Let's move on to number 2, and we're going to look at Højbjerg at centre-back.
Yeah, and I thought he actually played a really good role when he was playing at centre back yesterday, and surprisingly played a very crucial role for the team. We're moving in that role because we're down to 9 men. We're playing a very high line. He's got a lot of work to do, but I thought he did exceptional to fill in that role. He made 5 clearances on the day, which is more than any other defender, made 1 tackle, but still maintained a 95% passing accuracy, which, considering he came on the pitch when we were down to 10 and then 9, he never came on the pitch when we had 11 men. To maintain a 95 passing accuracy, 95% is very, very impressive as well.
He misplaced 1 pass, right?
I'm not sure, actually. Let me just check. But 95%.
Yeah. Accurate passes 21 out of 22.
Yeah, so there you go. So really, really impressive numbers from Højbjerg, and a really impressive showing. So maybe he's trying to fight his way into the starting 11 at the moment.
Well, he's going the right way about it, because every time he's called upon, bar that game in the cup where he was terrible, every single game he stepped into in the league this season, he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely brilliant. And these are the kind of players, this is the mentality we need from players coming off the bench and coming off the periphery, because we need a whole squad. We don't need just the first 11 to start doing well. That's been our problem for so long under so many different managers. How many times have we gone into like cup games in the Conference League and the Europa League where we play our second string team and they're just nowhere near good enough? Yes, that did happen against Fulham in the cup, but when these players are coming on now in the Premier League games, specifically Højbjerg, they're standing up for the team and they're showing their elite mentality, and another one of that on show yesterday from Pierre. So I think he's really showing his worth for the team, and I think if we do sell him in January, I think it could be a mistake, because it's hard for these players to come by. Players that are just coming in off the bench and putting performances like that. I don't know.
Would you start him a centre-back?
I think I would after that showing. I mean, what other options do we have?
Yeah, it's either him or Phillips and Dorrington, I guess. Or Emerson or
Davis. But we need him at left back. Dogi's out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, difficult.
What options do we have? It's not like we're blessed with options.
Maybe no Dyer. Play Højbjerg as the main centre-back.
Højbjerg, what, just by himself? Højbjerg and Dorrington. Højbjerg and Phillips. Yeah. I don't know.
He's got decisions to make.
Yeah, I mean, playing a high line with Højbjerg and Dyer at the back, that is just a recipe for disaster.
Can't wait for it.
Let's move on to number 3, and it's back to Reckless Romero.
Yeah, and he had an absolute shock yesterday. It wasn't just the red card, but he just literally was on a mission to pretty much kick and push anyone he could yesterday, and ultimately it cost Tottenham. He barged Thiago. He went for a run for some reason in the Chelsea half, which pretty much kicked off a lot of the bad moments for Tottenham. He barged Thiago Silva over. He then kicked out a Levi Colwell. He then gives the ball away in the lead up to Caicedo's goal. He then tries to win the ball back, having given it away, and ends up following through on a challenge and giving away a penalty and giving away a red card. It was just a massive day to forget for Coutinho Romero, who's been so good this season at how he's been so controlled with his aggression, but he just boiled over, unfortunately, yesterday, and hopefully it's something he can learn from. But very disappointing game for Romero and in the season.
Is he going to learn from it? I mean, we've been saying this for a long time with Coutinho Romero now, to be honest. Like, is he going to learn from it? Because this is things that happen every season now. Literally every season, we see these kind of moments in there from Coutinho Romero. Granted, he's got much better at it. So far this season, he's been brilliant, and we've commended him for it. But these things keep creeping back into his game, and he needs to watch himself, especially in these big games. Like I said in the player ratings, the 2 games where he's come unstuck this season is the Arsenal game, with giving away a penalty and giving away an own goal. In this game, he gives away a penalty and gets sent off, and he probably could have got sent off a lot earlier than he got sent off, to be honest. So it's these big games where he kind of gets overruled by the occasion, and maybe his aggressive nature gets the better of him. But do we really want to eradicate that from his game as well? Because that's kind of where he flourishes, where he's that aggressive defender and he's got that calming presence of Mickey van der Ven next to him. He just needs to carefully toe that line, which he's been doing brilliantly so far this season. So I really hope he can learn from it and show what he has been showing for the most part this season. But he put us under massive pressure yesterday, and he was a massive part of why we lost the game 4-1 yesterday. So I love Coutinho Romero, but he needs to eradicate these things from his game.
Let me ask you this in a hypothetical. Let's say he misses 8 games this season through suspension, but in the other 30 games, he plays those games like he's been playing them this season. Would that be worth it?
8 games is a lot.
But 30 games at that level is also a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to answer, to be honest. I think
I'll probably say it is worth it.
You think so?
I'll probably say it is, yeah.
The thing is with Romero, I think that he can like him playing like he has all season hasn't been we haven't been worried about moments about like what we saw yesterday. So I want to see him play like he has all season, bar the game against Chelsea, because even against Arsenal I felt like he towed the line between being overly aggressive and being aggressive. He just got unlucky in a couple of moments, but I feel like for the most part of the season, for 90% of his season this year, he's been absolutely brilliant and perfect. It's just those moments that he needs to wipe out, like where it happens every so often, and I think he can wipe out those moments like we saw against Chelsea and still perform at a very high level. I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a hypothetical. If you have to choose, like is that unacceptable?
Does that mean we have to play 8 games with Eric Dyer at the back?
It just means you have to play 8 games without Romero.
Yeah, look, if we had cover in the back line, I don't think it would be too much of a problem, and I probably would choose for him to miss those 8 games and not to change his game whatsoever. But since we don't have cover, I don't think we can afford it.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
So that's the situation with Coutinho Romero. Let's move on to number 4, and that is the mega high line.
Yeah, and it's either crazy or it's genius, whatever way you want to look at it. But when we went down to 9 men, we did this something which is incredible. It was almost like a 0-7-1 formation, or almost. We seem to be playing in that second half, and it was one of the most incredible.
It was just like a 9,
just like
8.
a 9. It was just
it was an 8. It was 8 players in one line.
You could almost call Vicario an outfielder. It was almost like a 1-8-0. Like it was crazy. The formation we played, and the tactic, I guess, was to rush Chelsea into playing fast balls over the top and planning for those balls over the top with Vicario sweeping, forcing turnovers which meant that you could get as much possession as possible while you had 9 men, rather than sitting in the deep block waiting basically to be attacked and giving possession to the opposition and just waiting for them to try and break you down and score a goal. You do it on your terms, so you force them to make the quick passes, you plan for the quick passes, and then once you get the ball you can make a quick transition and try and score yourself. It nearly worked with if we had a few opportunities obviously late on with Bentancur and Dyer and Son creating an opportunity which could have got a goal. Unfortunately we did end up going against us with a late hat-trick from Nicholas Jackson, which ultimately will be the most important thing. But was the tactic crazy or genius? There's a lot of debate about it at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both, to be honest. I really do. It was like, I've never seen something so crazy before in my life. It was borderline insanity what we did yesterday. It really was, playing that completely high line with 9 men. But I guess it's, which way do you want to go? Do you want to see us play the way that Liverpool did? Put every man behind the ball and make it really difficult for the opposition? Or do we want to give ourselves a fighting chance to actually get something out of the game, or actually go and winning the game? We had the chances to. If we put away one of 3 of those chances, or 2 of those chances, because one of them were offside. But if we put away one of those chances, we could be talking about Ange as a complete genius and not even bringing in the insanity factor to it. But we did lose 4-1, so you do have to ask the question, and I do think it was pretty much insane what we did yesterday. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. And if I could go back and rewrite the script and choose a different way of playing, would I? I'm not sure if I would, to be honest, because I think it was such an unbelievable thing to see. But look, you got to commend it, but you also got to say, like, maybe you could have gone a different route to get something out of the game. But that's the way Ange plays, and he's not going to change for anyone, and that's what we got to live and die by.
Even if we have 5 players, he said, we're going to have a go.
It's mad.
And that's Ange.
I'm still so conflicted about it, though, because it's something I've never seen before, and because it was like so insane, And because of what we've like been living through the past few years with Conte and Mourinho and playing that completely backwards football, it is a bit of a breath of fresh air to see something like that, especially when we're down to 9 men. But I do feel like, yeah, we could have gone with a different route and actually got something out of the game.
I think there are definitely ways to try and get a draw. But in terms of if you're trying to win the game, I don't think there was a better way of trying to win it than what we did.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Let's move on to the fifth and final takeaway, and this was more than just a loss.
Yeah, and to cast your mind back to 24 hours ago, it seems like a long time ago now, and we're in dreamland, we're top of the league, we're unbeaten, we have very few injuries, apart from a couple of long-term injuries. Everyone's starting to get back. You're thinking, all right, things are looking great, things are really like nothing could go wrong
the
at the moment.
Spurs fans are looking at the forward in the fixtures, saying, when are we going to fight for this title, people?
We've got City Club, we're carrying the fixtures, and literally within 45 minutes, Maddison has picked up an injury. Van de Ven looks like he's picked up a long-term injury. Romero has a 3-game ban. Udogie has a 1-game ban. Obviously happened after the game, but Richarlison has announced he's having surgery now, so he could be out for a while. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how much can change within pretty much a 24-hour period, or even a 45-minute period, or even a 5-minute period. That's what it all happened in a 5-minute period. Romero got sent off, Van de Ven went down injured, and Maddison went off, all in a 5-minute period in that first half.
Literally, when Romero gets sent off, in the back of my mind, I was saying, at least we've got Van de Ven. Like, if we go down to 10 men, like, he's so much more important to have than Akuti or Romero. And then a few minutes later, he goes down. And literally...
And you're thinking, at least we have Maddison.
At least we have... Oh, shit, Maddison's going off as well.
At least you have Udogie.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then he goes off over the first 5 minutes. Like, literally, it just got progressively worse and worse and worse and worse as the game wore on yesterday. It was just... just mad.
We're going to see what we're made of now, because we've the whole season we've been saying we're only one injury away from this happening and that happening. We didn't think we'd get like 4 or 5 in one day, but we did. And now we're going to see what like Ange can do when the chips are down, when things are going against us, when we don't have the perfect players for the system. Because I think we've been basically kind of operating in this whole first 10 games of the season with literally perfect players for each position in terms of what we want. And we've been saying it all season, our first 11 is actually really good. And I'm looking at our first 11, there's not too many weaknesses there right now. But now... we're going to have probably Dyer at centre-back. We're going to have maybe Maddison might be missing for a few games. We're not going to be having no Romero or Van de Ven at centre-back as well. Like Van de Ven sweeping and playing with his pace at centre-back. So we're going to see what we're about now when Postecoglou has to maybe, I don't know about adjusting his way of playing or how the players who are going to come in adjust to how we play. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Postecoglou can do with players who maybe aren't perfect for the system and how we adjust.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I said it before, but if Ange can get us through this period, specifically the next 3 games without Mickey Van de Ven and Coutinho Romero, this guy is an absolute... he's literally the Messiah. Like, literally.
I'm not going to say that we're going to keep getting results, but I think we can still remain competitive even without these players because of the way we play. I think because I still believe we can create chances and score goals even without these players on the pitch, but it's about whether losing them will mean that we concede too many rather than score too many, or can we still outscore the opposition? That's going to be a big talking point.
I think we can, but the problem is that we're going through our hardest period of the season now.
Yeah, it's a tough period. We've got tough games. Yeah.
We go Wolves away next game, which, you know, they're looking all right, but that's actually our easiest game over the next 5 or 6 games. After that, we got Villa at home, Man City away, Newcastle at home, West Ham at home. So, I mean, how are we going to get through this period against teams that are all in good form? You know, Aston Villa, one of the form teams of the year in the league this year. Man City, Newcastle have turned things around. They're performing unbelievably well this season. West Ham are a match for anyone on their day as well. So, I mean, how are we going to get through this run without losing game after game with how decimated we are? I just don't get how.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Like if we had the previous 5 games instead of the next 5 games, we would have given ourselves a bit of a fighting chance, because I think we are better man for man than any of those teams. But these next 5 games is going to be so difficult, man. It's come at the complete wrong time.
It's going to be very difficult, but I think we can still compete. I really believe that. Maybe not against Man City. I think we'll struggle in that game. But I think against Villa and Wolves, we can still win those games, even with the injuries that we have.
Let's hope so. But that is our 5 takeaways from the game against Chelsea, where we've lost 4-1. Those are the 5 things we could take away from the game. Let us know your 5 takeaways if we have missed anything out in the comment section below. Just before we get into Twitter Reacts, let's look at some super chats. Catman Jess, member for 27 months, says, big up Ben and Sim. We bounce back versus Wolves. Come on, you Spurs. I bloody well hope so. Andrew Din with the super chat saying, in Ange we trust. He drilled his mentality on our players, though we lost yesterday. Our team will come out stronger, braver, and play with no fear. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I think they will. I think they're not going to... I think they showed in that game, doesn't matter what's thrown at them, they're going to keep playing the way Ange tells them to. So I think they're going to come out with that even stronger mentality, 100%. I agree.
And Alex, an Arsenal fan, says Vicario might be the top keeper in the league right now. His position and on-the-line saves are world-class. Congrats on a great replacement for Hugo Lloris. And that's from an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, thank you. That's very kind, suspiciously kind. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say. But all right, but thank you.
All I'm hearing from Arsenal fans, apart from this guy, is that they've got 2 keepers that are clearly better than
apparently, yeah.
Vicario, even though they're both off form at the moment. But anyway, let's get into the way that reacted. What have we got up first? Let's just get onto it. First one is from... All right, we're getting it loaded up in 1 second, but big up to all of you in the chat today. 733 people here with us today, 161 likes, so go and smash that like button. And if you don't know about our website, which I keep banging on about every single video, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get daily articles from us. And if you're looking for some Christmas presents as well, there are some nice merch that we've got on there for you. But let's get into reacts and... let's go through that and see how people did react to the game yesterday. First one is Kane from the lane. This is a nice little clip of Pedro Porro of his exchange with Mudryk yesterday.
No, it's a bit after he starts celebrating.
He goes down. So he goes down, and then once he gets up, and he looks up and he just gives a lovely little cheer. I love that from Pedro Porro.
Porro's great at that when he interacts with the fans. He's been really good at that this season.
He is. He's always coming up to the fans and giving it all that.
He's becoming a bit of a fan favourite, 100%.
Jan Vertonghen tweeted out yesterday, highest defensive line I've ever seen in my life. And he's played in some high lines, let me tell you that.
He has never seen anything like that. I wonder how he would have coped in an Ange high line.
I think he would have loved it.
Yeah, I reckon he loved it.
Tottenham tweeted out saying, a message from our captain, and that was from Heung-min Son. And the message is, your support last night was incredible. We fed so much off your energy and atmosphere in the stadium. We made mistakes as a team, put ourselves in a tricky position, but hey, we will learn from these mistakes and we'll bounce back. We'll be stronger together. I wake up this morning proud of the boys, proud of you supporters, and excited to get straight back to work. Come on, you Spurs.
A lovely message from Son, have to say. And look, that's captain material. We know he's been unbelievable in the leadership role so far this season. And that's a great message. And that's after a 4-1 home defeat for Chelsea. Like, usually, what do players come out after these big defeats with? Sorry, apologising. But this is not what Son took from it, and that's what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see it with his, like, what he was talking about, feeding off the fans. You could see it in Sonny's performance yesterday, the way he was just literally just didn't let anything slip. He was running after everything. So much effort put into the game from Sonny yesterday. And definitely he was leading by example on that football pitch.
And I think it's important for him to acknowledge how amazing the fans were yesterday, because they were on top of their game. So I'm really happy he did that.
JJ Bull says, look at it, it's beautiful. And he's reacting to a tweet from John McKenzie saying, you, an idiot. That's an insane high line, back line, and me, a genius. That's an insane low front line.
But look at that picture. This is it's an unbelievable picture. Just look at that. It's incredible. It's absolutely crazy how we attempted to do it. But look, I think this is when Cucurella might have gotten in goal. But it's just it's one of those things. It's just so crazy. It just might work kind of things. And it nearly did.
JJ Bull again saying, absolutely love this Spurs mega high line with 9 men. Seems crazy because it's not what you're supposed to do, but it makes sense. Do you think it made sense?
I think it makes sense if you're trying to win the game. That's what makes sense. If you're trying to earn a draw, then no, it doesn't make sense.
Then you do what Klopp did.
Then you do what Klopp did. But if you're trying to actually win the game, then you have to try and force something. Some situations, that's how you do it. And you try and force Chelsea into those long passes, rush them into it, and that's what we did. So I think that makes sense.
Though, trying to win a game with 9 men.
100% it is, but that's what Ange's going to do. Look, and I'm all here for it if that's what he wants to do.
Does it make sense to try and win a game with 9 men against 11?
Depends. In this situation, I would say go for it. Like, early in the season, you can afford, we're top of the league, or you can afford to kind of do these things. Maybe later in the season, let's say if this was a game we had to get top 4 and you needed a point to get top 4 and you did that, I would be not happy. I would say, look, you just need to get the result. But in this kind of situation, I think this is better for the long term of Tottenham, in my opinion.
Lily White Rose says legend, and that's a picture of Vicario, and he would definitely put in a legendary performance yesterday, that's for sure. Tottenham Sweden saying stand up and give these two massive credit. Teammates well in Eric Dyer and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and they both come out with glowing analysis from the game yesterday.
Yeah. So we have to stand up, do we?
Yeah, stand up.
So we have to
stand up. Well done.
There we go. Listening to you, Tottenham, Sweden.
Statman Dave saying just 3 outfield players who started the game tonight for Spurs finished the game. The other 7 were either sent off or subbed off, and the only players to make it throughout the game were Heung-min Son, Yves Bissouma and Pedro Porro. What an outrageous game.
Yeah, unbelievable. And Oliver was actually talking a lot to Sonny yesterday about the red card. Son was arguing his case, but obviously nothing given. But he's always going to back up his man, isn't he, Sonny?
Squawker giving us some stats saying Tottenham's home record against United's home record. I don't know what this is. Tottenham's PL home record versus United: 32 games, 15 defeats, 10 draws and 7 wins. Tottenham's home PL record against Chelsea: 32 games, 15 defeats, 10 draws and 7 wins. Identical.
We have identical records.
Fair enough.
It's a bit weird. We're not very good at home to United or Chelsea, it seems, basically.
At least we beat United this year. Charles Watts says, convinced if Spurs just dropped deep in that second half and protected their goal, they would have got a point. You could say it was brave to play the higher line, but was more stupid than anything. Was inevitable. Chelsea would eventually knock balls up one of their chances. And
he's an Arsenal fan.
He is an Arsenal fan, but I kind of don't disagree with it, though.
I don't disagree, but no, he's right. But I prefer my manager.
We play the way we want to. I prefer my manager. We're right or wrong.
In this situation, I prefer my manager to try and win the game than to try and just get a draw. What's the point for us right now? Yeah, look, it'll be good.
Keeps us unbeaten.
It does keep us unbeaten. That would be good, but I'd just prefer to go the Ange way and actually try and throw caution to the wind and try and win the game.
It kind of like brings an even more meaning to the Big Ange song now. You know, we play the way we want to.
Exactly.
With Big Ange Postecoglou, whether we're right or wrong.
Damn
right.
That's
what happened yesterday.
Exactly. Maybe he took it too much to heart.
Literally. But I love it. After the game, they still played Angels.
Did they?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And everyone still sang along.
They didn't play all the party anthems, though.
It was Can't Smile Without You, then Angels. That was it.
Got you.
Olivia Buzaglo says Spurs were the catalysts of their own downfall tonight. I think Chelsea were getting some control back after the first 10 minutes, but Udogi's first challenge swung the game. Indefensible from Romero and Udogi. Occasion got too much. Discipline out the window. Again, hard to disagree.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think, those guys, the red cards and the stupid passes, just the sloppiness in that first half. We only got ourselves to blame when we were on top and playing so well. It's so disappointing that we just lost control just by ourselves. We lost control.
The Athletic says it raised eyebrows this evening, but Tottenham's high line isn't going anywhere. That's 100%. And that's a quote from Ange saying it's just who we are and who we'll be as long as I'm here.
Love to hear it.
Brennan Johnson on Instagram with a picture, and the caption is proud of the boys, support was top class, thank you. And that's the thing that's like made such a difference this season, is the mentality of the fan base. Just never stop singing, full support of the team. And that's what happens when you've got a team and you've got a manager that gives us what they're giving us at the moment. The fans are always going to reciprocate.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that all the players are acknowledging it, even because it would be easy to be really down after a defeat like that, especially at home to Chelsea. But I think that in a weird way, the way we because I think if we would have sat deep, right, and got battered 4-1, everyone would have been very negative after the game. And the fact that we've been beaten 4-1, but everyone saw we gave it a go, we still tried to win the game, it's kept that positive feeling. So I think that's what it's done, how Postecoglou played.
Yeah. This is a clip from James Redmond.
No, it's a meme, basically.
Yeah, I know it's a meme.
But
it's from James Redmond. I think it's the one where he's talking about Sadio Mane.
No, ifs, buts or maybes.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
And this is 100%. That's how I feel about Vicario right now. I really feel that way. Like, that's how good he's been this season.
Best in the world, 100%.
I've never seen a goalkeeper coming out with such glowing praise after a 4-1 defeat.
I said it last time I was on it. He's the best football player in the world.
Spurs Global saying Spurs games without Christian Romero with his red card, Wolves, Villa and Man City, and he'll be available against West Ham on December the 7th. So another big game for him to come back into.
Oh God, he's going to get
London derby.
God.
Bradley says Van de Ven's injury, the result of a long and regular VAR stops. You can't keep stopping games for that long without it becoming a safety issue for players. There goes one of our top players of the season with a serious injury. I mean,
I wonder if there's some credit.
I'm not too sure about that. You're really going to put Van de Ven's injury to all these stops and starts?
Maybe, I don't know, because it's just the way Van de Ven plays, because he uses his pace a lot, and so he has to really use those hamstrings when he's running in behind. And if he keeps stopping and starting, and then you're stopping for like 5 minutes, and then he has to make a big run again, and then you're stopping again for 5 minutes. I don't know. Look, I'm not a doctor or anything, so I don't really know what kind of effect it is. I wonder if anyone in the chat can bring any light, if there's any truth that can have an effect. But I thought it was an interesting point.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if I buy it though, but again, I'm not a doctor either, so I'm not really qualified to comment on that one. Bardi is saying Spurs should release a statement tomorrow morning. We're just getting on with it, mate.
I would love that. I would love that if he was posting it off the back of the Arsenal statement. That would be the best shithousery we could do.
That would be brilliant. Ollie Davis with a tweet here. He says, Adogi's inexperience showed while the old Romero let us down massively. Every single one of them who played till the end, though, should hold their heads high. Terrific effort, and those injuries are just what we've all been dreading pretty much. And that's pretty much what I was saying in the match review word for word, to be honest, and absolutely spot on.
In a weird way though, like it kind of takes away that anxiety of them getting injured, because they're injured now, so like it's happened. Every time like anyone that goes like you're when now, oh my god, and now it's happened.
Yeah,
so
now the anxiety is of what we're going to witness
now
while they're injured.
But now in a weird way, like the Wolves game, it just becomes a massive game again. Like before, if we would have beaten Chelsea, everyone would have expected the win against Wolves, but now it's like become a really big game again because of these injuries.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer the former, to be honest. Lies Bouzidi says, I reckon Ange saw a defence of Emerson, Dyer and Porro and figured he'd rather risk losing heavily but going for the knockout punch than inevitably losing anyways. I mean, I don't think he saw that. I think this is just the way he's going to play. No matter who he had in defence, he would have played that way.
You're probably right about that. It doesn't matter who he's there.
Charlie Eccleshare says, the main difference between Postecoglou said about VAR compared to those most managers is you get the sense he actually cares about what it's doing to the game rather than his team in that moment. And I think that's spot on as well from Charlie Eccleshare.
Yeah, I completely agree as well.
Matt Law says, also seeing a lot of people claiming Postecoglou was naive. People might not agree with his high line approach, but to call a guy with his experience naive is pretty disrespectful in my opinion. Stubborn might be more accurate, but Spurs fans in the stadium appreciated it. And that's kind of similar to a conversation that we had in the match review.
Yeah, I don't think I agree completely. Look, he is not naive. Naive implies that he doesn't know the consequences of what he's doing. I think he does. I just think he's... that he just went for it. That's the way he approached to try and win the game. So, and I also agree. I think the fans appreciated it, and the only reason we're being positive today is because of that approach. Again, if we would have sat deep and got lost 4-1, we would all be sitting here very negative today, and I don't think he would have got the round of applause at the end that he did. So,
yeah, it's true. Sport Bible tweeted out a picture of the high line again, and they say Tottenham deployed a never seen before 0-7-1 formation versus Chelsea. Ange ball is insane.
0-7-1, look at that.
It really is insane.
It's really mad. It's such a mad. I've never seen anything like this.
Never. Fabrizio Romano tweeted out saying Tottenham fans singing and they're showing their love to Ange Postecoglou and squad fighting despite crazy unlucky game. Really nice to see. And the Spurs fans really did show their class yesterday, didn't they?
Absolutely, especially under the circumstances. A lot of other fans maybe would have turned a bit toxic in those circumstances, but Tottenham didn't, because they appreciated what Ange tried to do in the game. So, and it's great Romano acknowledging that. It's really good.
James Alcott showing the touch map of Vicario yesterday, and this is insane. Is this a centre-back or is this a goalkeeper?
Mental. How many to this? What, he had 12, was that 12 touches outside the box? Like, yeah, that could be a DM, honestly. That could be a number 6 kind of a touch map. Absolutely insane from Vicario.
If I told you that was Romero's heat map or that was Romero's touch map, you wouldn't have argued against me.
Literally. It's like a prime Manuel Neuer kind of touch map. It's mental. Absolutely mental.
Adam Smithy says, very proud of that performance. 2 huge injuries, 2 red cards, and only 3 of the outfield starters finishing the game. And we had some big chances at 2-1. Spurs fans absolutely immense. Again, another one spot on. And Chris Miller, Windy Coy, saying Højbjerg's ball-playing centre-back arc began tonight. What do you reckon about that?
Maybe. Look, he did a great job. And I think if, in a weird way, it's a bit like how Pep used to play Fernandinho at centre-back, didn't he, at times? So why can't Højbjerg do it?
Yeah. Tottenham tweeted out saying body on the line, and that was Vicario's save to Cucurella from a point-blank range.
It hit him in the face, I think, that one right in the face.
And Oliver Holt reacting to Postecoglou's post-match interview, saying Postecoglou's reaction tonight to decisions that went against him was a striking contrast to Arteta's on Saturday. Arteta behaved like a petulant, over-entitled child. Postecoglou behaved like an intelligent, reflective leader. I know which one of them I'd rather be in charge of my football club.
Couldn't agree more.
Duo Max saying, sang my heart out, proud of this football club, we move. And that was him in expressions being shown on TV.
Yeah, that was a 3-1 down as well. So big up to them, singing up for the boys. I think that's it.
That is that for the way Twitter reacted to the game yesterday. And let me just check. I think another super chat did come through, so we'll finish on that. No, that's it. So, yeah. That brings an end to the stream today, and we'll see you all very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Do go check out our website because more articles will be on there very, very soon. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.